right, everyone. Welcome to a very special and exciting episode of Outside the Studio. This is Tessa here, your host, as usual, and I'm really excited to have Whitney McNeill on the show. Whitney is a certified medium and spiritual teacher and founder of Messenger of Spirit, LLC. Um, I want to dive into so many topics today as it pertains to this subject of intuition and being a medium and what that is like for you, Whitney. And I do have some specific questions, but before I go any further, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being here. And how are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me. I look forward to seeing what's gonna come up in our conversation. And we can have a plan, but sometimes spirit gives us inspiration with new questions. So I'm here for it for sure.
Cool. Well, I'm excited. I love these kinds of conversations. I always think it's so interesting to, especially with this kind of work, learn about your personal origin story, because this is what I've heard from people in your line of work most often is that like at a young age, perhaps you felt a certain pull towards this sense of intuition, towards the spiritual work. And maybe that was fostered along the way, or maybe it was kind of, I don't know. It seems almost, I feel like I hear different responses and they seem kind of dichotomous. Like there's the support of that, and then there's also the poo-pooing of that. So I'm curious, would you tell us a little bit about your origin story and what your journey's been like to where you are today?
hmm So when I was really young, I saw things. I would see them very vividly. I remember seeing an arrow shooting through my room one time. And it got to the point where I saw a man in my room when I was really young. And thought it was my dad. It was dark. It was in the middle of the night. And I thought, this has to be my dad coming in to say hi. And this figure came closer and closer and closer. And I started to say, Dad, no response. And I wasn't necessarily afraid. Like I thought it was an intruder at first. I felt like this was somebody that I should recognize, but I got freaked out when I didn't get a response back.
Mm.
So much to the point where I just ran. And looking back on it, I just ran right through that energy. But I ran as fast as I could to my mom and dad's room and actually made them check for footprints because there was my dad in the other room. And it was all fine. And my parents didn't really know how to help me. So they said, honey, we just had a bad dream. We've got a really great imagination. So I was interested because I always thought, well, what is this that I know things or I see things? And it got so vivid to the point where I was home from college visiting my parents. And I saw very clearly a person sit on my bed. She had red hair and a pink shirt. And I freaked out. And I had watched TV shows and I didn't know what to say. So I said, just go to the light. You're dead. Go find the light. And I covered my head with my sheets in the bed. And from that point on, I shut out my gifts. I didn't know what to do. It scared me. And I became really making decisions in a place from other people's opinions because I wasn't even open to receiving any kind of intuitive insight. I didn't really want to talk to anybody anymore in spirit. And that led me down a path of not living a life on purpose. I was in a job I didn't like, and I was really in a place where I was medically not feeling well. And my aunt said, I'm going to take you to this place and we're just going to have some alternative healing sessions. And I thought, all right, whatever. So we did. And within 4 days, I was able to go on a hike in the desert. And that was a radical transformation for me because I couldn't even get a couple feet without resting prior to this. The doctors didn't know what to do with me. So my aunt just had this inspiration. And I basically had opened up my energy. I saw people that were living on purpose and talking to their spirit guides. And I saw what a positive impact it can make in people's lives. And I thought, I got to get back on my path. I'm going to do this. So I found a mentor. I dove back in and really started to open up those abilities too. So it was this place of, oh, very intense, but nobody knew what to do with me. Oh, I'm scared. I'm going to shut it out. Oh, now I know that this is positive and this is my mission. I want to help other people know how it works for them so that they're not scared. I want to teach them a way that they can connect with their guides and their loved ones where you don't have to worry about going through the stuff I went through.
Wow. So your aunt took you to this place, and will you tell me a little bit more about that experience? Was it just like immediate? Oh, this is safe. I can return to that space of letting spirit in. What did that transformation look like for you?
So I was just so tired. My aunt even said, we're going to just put you in a wheelchair and wheel you out to the airplane. I was that exhausted. I went out to the place for 4 days and I experienced Reiki sessions, shamanic healing, opening up my energy. I got readings. And after the 4 days on the last day, I went on a guided hike in the desert. And when I got back, so I was living in North Carolina at the time, and my dad picked us up from the airport and he just stared at me and I'm waving to him and he just went around. And then he came back, stared at me, waving to him, like, are you going to stop so I can get in the car? Because he's picking us up. Just went back around. I called him, what are you doing? Like, we're trying to get in the car. And he said, oh my gosh, are you in a red hat? Wearing a red hat? And I said, yeah. And he said, oh my gosh, I thought that looked like you, but there was no way it could be you. This person had so much energy. And I said, that's me. So it was this radical transformation that my family saw, I saw, and it wasn't immediate that I started to shift my job. It was immediate that I knew I was here for a purpose and that I needed to learn tools to help other people. So I then took Reiki classes and then I found a mentor to help. So I have really had to integrate this back into my life and learn how to do this for myself first in a way that worked really well for me. And then through that, I just fell in love. I knew that this was my purpose. It was easy. It's something I wanted to do all day, every day. And that was that key indication of, hey, Whitney, you need to be doing this. How can you do this? Which led me to start a business. So it was an immediate aha of this is good and we need to get going with it now. But the changes of the business side of it didn't happen until a little while later.
Thank you. So Reiki, you had the experience of receiving it. And then also it sounds like you've trained to be a practitioner of Reiki. For those who have never heard this term or maybe have heard this term but don't really know what it is, would you explain that to us?
Sure. So Reiki is an energy that you channel through your body. So you're not giving someone else your own energy. You're actually giving an energy, you're channeling it through. And Reiki flows from people who are attuned to that Reiki energy. And Reiki was discovered by Mikao Usui. And it's a really beautiful energy. But when I first got it at that place, I got up off the table early. I said, this is weird. I can feel something, but I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if I like it. Well, I went back the next day. I did like it because I saw how it felt and I saw how it was really providing more energy for me. So Reiki can help you open up any blockages that you have in your energy. If you feel like you're shut down, it can help to open those places where you feel stuck so that more energy moves through you. And that's what I really needed in the moment, combined with some of these other services too. And I loved it so much. I kept continuing in my training so that I could then teach it. So I became a certified Reiki master teacher in the lineage, and I taught Reiki classes for quite some time. I no longer do, but I certainly did for years. And it's such a beautiful ability.
Yeah, thank you. So I want to go back to something you said a few minutes ago, which was how to live your life, or the decision, something about living your life on purpose, which is a topic. Well, I just love that phrase. I love the phrase, live your life on purpose. I often, if I'm teaching a yoga class, I will say something along the lines of, can you show up here on purpose? I mean, something brought you here, but what is the purpose or the intentionality behind that? And I say that because I think so many of us in this particular day and age are feeling like this shift or this pull or this call to do things differently. And I really believe strongly that that is purpose or intuition guiding us in a different way. And certainly we've seen, like, our world has been shooken.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing how things can be done differently, work wise, most in particular with everything that's shifted online. And then now there's hybrid, and now, all the brick and mortars are trying to figure out what's the way forward, what's the middle path forward. So, and also we're questioning the status quo with so many different things, with race, with gender, with all of our little categorical assumptions about what is right, and I'm putting that in quotes, and what is wrong and also in quotes. And so, and I think purpose is so different for each of us. So I just love to get your take on this topic, living life on purpose.
Yeah. I kind of like thinking of it like you're living it on purpose, not by accident. When we're not connected to our intuition, we can feel like we're living our life, on accident, where I'm just making some decisions because I think that maybe I should do something, versus I know, or I feel guided, or I feel aligned to do it. I mean, my story is an example of that. I was working 10 to 12 hours for somebody else, and I was making decisions based on what might look good on paper versus how I really felt. So I think that's key, is utilizing your intuition, and your purpose can feel really good. And you know that you're on purpose when it lights you up, when you feel so excited, when you want to do it all the time, when it feels also easy for you to tap into that energy too. And that's part of utilizing our intuition, is, are we feeling resistant and heavy and stuck doing something every day? Or are we feeling light and energized by what we're doing every day? But after years of doing readings, I started to see a pattern. People would ask me, what's my purpose? And spirit would give them answers, and they would share with me 7 archetypes, which at the time I called energetic imprints, because really we have this imprint in our energy system. And so the 7 life purpose archetypes can really help guide people into what that is. So I feel, when you're talking to your guides, really asking them, what archetype am I here to embody in this lifetime? So for me, I have 3, and it's the creator, the healer, and the teacher. And we can find jobs, vocations, start our businesses in any of the archetypes, but usually we end up pivoting to the main archetype that we have. And that's exactly what I did. I wanted to go to college and specialize in metaphysics, but it didn't exist. So what was easiest for me at the time, I thought, I want to be a doctor. I want to help people and heal people. Well, as soon as I took my first organic chemistry class, I was like, this is not for me. So I was trying to search within these archetypes. The reason I bring that up is because within one archetype, you can have many different vocations, but you won't really know what it is until it aligns with your energy and you feel lit up. So for me, it's teaching. That is my primary archetype. And I feel so excited when I am out there speaking or helping students learn and understand. Then there's healing. And with healing, you could be a doctor, you could be a physical therapist, you could do acupuncture, you could do Reiki. So really understanding that, where does my energy live? Where do I feel most lit up? And then also understanding that you've got some supporting archetypes that can help you too. So for me, it's teacher, then healer, then creator. And for others, it can be very different. You could be the humanitarian, you could be the protector, you could be the entertainer. So there's a lot of different ones out there. And I think it's really important to find what works well for you. I kind of went off into that tangent, but I felt like that was from spirit, and we needed to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, actually, I have a follow-up question on that, because I have personally, I'll use myself as an example, bounce back and forth between the idea of career being a passion, something that is more of a creative outlet, and feeling like there's this mental construct that I can't make money doing that. And then having my value tied very much up in how I make money or don't make money. And
Mm-hmm.
so then that starts to drive my decision making process in terms of what kind of jobs I look for and what kind of jobs I push away. So I've had this experience in the corporate work world where I was making six figures and feeling very drained and energetically, I wouldn't say all the time shut down, but there were definitely days where I would come home in tears and feel like, what am I doing with my life? I'm not living my life on purpose. And then later on in life, feeling more established and having the support of my partner to go off and try this entrepreneurial creative endeavor. But then the six-figure income disappears, right? It's like a fraction of what it was. And so there's a lot of identity and ego wrapped up in that statement. But also, now that I've been on this entrepreneurial path for a little while, feeling like, okay, well, here I am, and I'm starting to feel drained and energetically depleted here too. So where is that? How do we like kind of discern between making these big life decisions for ourselves to, and if we're talking about career being our purpose, which I don't necessarily always think it is, how do we make these decisions and kind of like unravel that saran wrap? I think of saran wrap getting really bunched up and hard to unravel when it feels all
Yeah.
kind of in this tight little ball that's like very confusing and hard to unwind.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on your purpose doesn't have to be lived through your career. And in fact, it's not sometimes. There are people out there that have the helper archetype, and the helper archetype can be caretakers, stay-at-home moms, and that's really their passion and where they feel that they are in purpose and on purpose. So when we do, though, choose to live it through our career, which I have, and a lot of spiritual and ambitious people choose to do that too. This is how I came up with this for me. It was like, I love doing this every single day. I fill it up. Why can't I do this for my business? And I truly believe that spirit, and we are spirit, we chose to come into this life to help people and to live our purpose. And if we choose to do that through our career, it's why wouldn't we be able to have abundance through doing what we love? And I think that society conditions us where it has to be hard. You know, we have to feel like we're earning something. We have to do something and kind of walk through the motions and feel like we've achieved it, versus our purpose can feel really light and easy. And so sometimes people feel bad charging for their services or not enough for their services, or, well, maybe I just should do this for free because it comes so easily to me. However, I truly believe we're here to experience joy. We're here to impact. And part of that joy is being compensated and feeling that we have enough food to eat, more than enough safety in our lives. And all of that on the earth plane has to do with money as part of it as well, or it's just an exchange system. So I'll invite people to look at your money can just be energy. Look at you receiving money, you're receiving energy. And a lot of times, if we're feeling like we can't receive money, we have a receiving block. And then when we dive in, it's usually a worthiness block of, okay, now I'm not feeling so worthy. Or I'm not feeling good enough to do these things. So I think that's part of the piece of living in career and all that stuff that complicates it. And I will say that if you want spiritual growth, I don't think there's a faster tool than to start your own business because you learn so much and on purpose. But something I heard you say was, as an entrepreneur, then it's like, now I'm drained and I'm tired. Wait a minute, this isn't fun anymore. One of the things that I'll say is, it's time for a pivot. When you're really listening to your intuition and your spirit guides, you know that things can't stay the same way every year. Things have to change. We are changeable beings. And it would be really cool, but also really freaky if we looked the same way we did 10 years ago. So, because we're breathable, energy changeable beings, so is our business. And I really find that the key to staying on purpose and staying in alignment is to continue to be open to growing, to be open to learning, but also being open to saying yes to new opportunities that your spirit guides create for you. Because your spirit guides, one of their primary jobs is to create opportunities. And when you talk to them every day and you are listening through your intuition and you are saying yes, then you need to have that courage to make the pivot. So for me, started my business doing readings. Everybody wanted readings. I got to a place where I felt really just resentful, to be honest. I was tired. I was drained. I had a wait list of a year. I felt kind of trapped. And I really had to say, wait a minute, wait a minute. I did love this. And my purpose isn't changing, but the way in which I live my purpose is. So I had to say what really lights me up. And one of the things that you can do if you feel like you're struggling with this is talk to your guides every day. And you can also ask them to kind of force your hand on things, like make the signs super clear. Well, for me, I did that and I got to a place where my voice shut down. I literally couldn't get readings. And when I did that, I was reflecting on what do I really love? I love teaching. I like to create programs. How can I do this? It feels really easeful and giving myself a lot of grace. And I just knew I have to stop doing these services. And I told everybody it was a really scary decision, but it's definitely paid off. I've scaled my business, but most importantly, I'm fully doing what I love and I don't resent it. And I don't know where I'll be in 2 more years, right? I might pivot again.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. I want to talk a little bit more in detail about spirit guides, if it's something that we haven't really explored, something maybe we don't really understand, in terms of, I guess, defining what a spirit guide is, but also, um, how do we connect with them if that's not something we've ever done before?
Yes. So your spirit guides are helpers that have been with you before you choose to incarnate. And this can be a spirit that you've had a relationship with karmically before, or it can be a guide that just really specializes in what you're wanting to do on the earth plane. And you've got these guides that come in, and you have guides that guide, teach, and protect. And these are your personal guides. You can also have guides for business and guides for other areas of your life. But these main guides generally, most of the time, stay with you throughout your life. And some people refer to them as guardian angels. They are different than guardian angels, but it's okay if you just feel more comfortable to connect with them that way. Your spirit guides can fit into any religious belief system that you might have and can just complement what you already believe. So that's one thing I definitely want to share. Your guides will help create these opportunities to protect you, to teach you, and they guide you to the right people and the right lessons. And with your protection, if you ever feel kind of funky, I know we always get kind of funky in our life at some point. We're like, something feels weird. You can talk to your protector guide to clear out the energy. But your protector guide helps you on the earth plane. So they guide you at the right time to drive down that right road. They make sure that you're choosing the right steps. They're always looking out for you in that way. And how do you connect with them? I invite all students that work with me to take 5 to 15 minutes out of their day. That's it, just 5 to 15 minutes and talk to your guides. Sometimes people say, oh, my guides just know what I need. They'll tell me when I need to know something. And I'm like, no, your intuition, which is you connecting to spirit and receiving information for your benefit, can be utilized every day. And in that 5 to 15 minutes, strengthen that spirit guide connection as well as your intuition. So talk to your guides and say, hey, I'd really like to talk to my guides here, even if you don't know the names. You can just say, I welcome my guides. And then as you welcome your guides, thank them for the things that are going right. Like, thank you for your help with XYZ. And also ask them for help with what you need. I really feel stuck right now and I need some guidance and some help. And then clear your mind, just breathe, intend for your mind to be clear, and then receive. And when you receive their communication, their insight, and their answers, that comes through your intuitive language. So you might see, hear, feel, or know the answer. And the more that you do this every day, you're building consistency and a rapport. Communication is so important in any relationship. And they don't just know what we need. They'll do their very best, but it's better if we get on the same page and we're all over communicating with one another. So we 100% know what's going on.
Hmm. So seeing, feeling, hearing, or sensing, kind of whatever medium resonates with you. It's not like all of those have to be present, but maybe just one or two will help you connect or feel or see or sense the connection, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, so making it a point to just talk to them. But when you're wanting to understand the connection, you need to really understand your intuitive language. There's four main intuitive languages: the seer, the owl, the empath, and the channeler. And you can have one, some, or all. And some people are like, I don't have any. I'm like, yes, you do. Then you're the channeler. So we can talk about those too. But developing this rapport and connection brings them closer. And then you start doing these exercises to just hold space to receive. So you might see a flashing light or a color when your mind's closed, or you might see an image of something. And that can come through if you are a seer, if you see clairvoyantly. If you're an owl, then you'll hear, and you could hear an external voice, but most of the time it's going to be your internal reading voice. And a lot of students say, is this something that I'm making up and talking to myself, or is this actually coming from spirit? And the key there is it usually comes in so fast that your brain couldn't even process it. And that's coming from spirit. Now you can feel your answers. If you've asked a question, is this the right next step? You can feel in your gut, yes or no, but you also might get a tapping like, oh, when it's on my right shoulder, it's a yes, or oh, when it's on my left shoulder, it's a no, or something different like a sensation or coolness or a warmness. And then there's the channeler, and the channelers are so directly connected to spirit. They just don't know it because they feel like they have to see it, hear it, or feel it, when in fact, their body is intuitive and it's just a knowing. So it comes in like a thought, wonder about XYZ, when really that's from spirit. Or it comes in their body. I'm just so tired today and I don't know why. Most of the time, that's something that you need to look into. Now, of course, always go see your doctor, but it can be, hey, we're trying to delay you before you leave, or hey, that decision is a no. And then also, it's just like a fact. I just know something. I just know it. I don't know where I know it from, but it's a fact. Somebody must have told me about this. And that's the way that it can come through. One of the things you can do when you talk to your guides is write things down. Take a pen and paper. And when you're asking questions, just write the first things that come to mind down. And this makes your messages real. A lot of times people second guess, or they are expecting it to drop in like a booming voice and tell you what to do, when in fact, spirit's very light and quick. And so the more that we can recognize these messages in these 5 to 15 minutes, the more we bring our awareness to what is a spirit message and what is not. But the key inside these 5 to 15 minutes is to clear your mind. And when you clear your mind, then you're in a place to be able to receive. And a lot of times people think that, you have to clear your mind for an hour, you have to meditate for an hour. And this is a big question I get, what is it to clear your mind? And I always say, you can clear your mind in 5 seconds. And one way to clear your mind is you can close your eyes and imagine a chalkboard or dry erase board. Imagine all your thoughts are on that board. And then you can grab an eraser and you can actually move your hand. So you're imagining you're picking up an eraser. You go over and you start clearing out all the things on the dry erase board. And you can hear the eraser moving up and down, and you can feel the eraser in your body and your hands. And then you drop the eraser, you feel lighter. It's silent. There's nothing on the board. And when that happens, your mind is clear. So you can do that in 5 seconds. I walked you through it a little longer, but when you're doing that, then you can receive the messages coming in from spirit. So talk to your guides, clear your mind, and then receive and perceive the messages that they're getting, and let go of your expectations. Sometimes we think it's going to be like, I'm going to see it really vividly. And while it can happen, like I saw the woman on the bed, most of the time it doesn't. It just comes in really fast. And so getting really quiet and still and clear really helps you to bring more awareness to this language that you were born with, just nobody told you how to actually speak it.
Okay, so a couple of things. One, I found really interesting when I closed my eyes, because I was doing this with you, was I visualized a chalkboard very easily, but I couldn't really make anything appear on the chalkboard. It felt very blank to me. And I could easily pick up an eraser and erase it, but I was erasing a blank chalkboard, which I found really interesting. I don't know if you have anything to add to that. I do. Go ahead.
Go ahead. So sometimes people in meditations will tell me, Whitney, I saw this, but I didn't see that. And so what I'm going to say is allow yourself grace and know that you went through the exercise. And so one little intuitive hit there, Tessa, is you probably are clearing your mind faster than you think you are because there's nothing on the chalkboard. But for those of you who feel like you can only get bits and pieces, you're not doing anything wrong. Just stay with the energy and the flow. Don't let the mind second guess, like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't see that, because I want your mind to be clear. So this is a good thing. Allow for that energy to flow. And if you're not seeing anything, that can be a positive aspect. But your intuitive language can change. So being open to all the different ways, so you can feel, so you're probably a channeler. You probably also are an empath, and you can see as well. So just know it might come in different ways every time you do the exercise. And I always love to teach in so many different other examples too. It's not just that one, but that's one that can really kind of get all the senses involved.
Yeah. So the second part, I think it's kind of related to that question I had, or thought I had, is as it relates to chronic pain in the body. And I think we could probably go down a rabbit hole of what chronic pain is, but I think of it as where pain consistently shows up in my physical body. And I think about that. And I'm not sure if this is what you mean when you say one of your 4 intuitive languages, how the body speaks to us. Like you use the example of being tired as listening to that gut feeling or that physical sense. But I'm thinking about like, okay, the right side of my neck always gets sore, my right hip, my low back keeps going out, things like that. And yes, with a disclaimer of please see a doctor. And also, what can we learn from the physical pain in our body?
That's really good. So with the intuitive piece, with a channeler, when we're getting the messages, spirit isn't going to give us messages with pain like in our normal fluid conversations. However, the body is speaking to you in a different way. So what I would say is the body is giving you this message, and most likely there would be a stuck or stagnant energy that's still in there. And when I was going through my health crisis, I had chronic pain as well. They labeled me with a lot of things they didn't exactly know. They said fibromyalgia, they said chronic fatigue, and a host of other things. When I relieved all that energy, I did not feel those things anymore. But one of the things that you can do if you're feeling a pain somewhere is you can ask and touch that area of your body and say, hey, I feel you. I feel you. And I'm feeling the pain on the right side of my neck. What message do you have for me? So you can work with your spirit guides on those, but it's a powerful tool to talk to your body, period. and your body is trying to say, hey, this isn't working. Something's not working here. And I have some stuck and stagnant energy that you're not paying attention to, and see what comes up. Now, if we're in that place where we have a lot of pain, and of course you've gone to the doctor, but maybe there's a recurring thing, then one thing, if you are a channeler, you might start realizing and asking yourself questions. What in my life doesn't feel good? What part of my life feels like it's a pain in the neck? What part of my life feels like it's pain in the rear, depending on what it is? And what am I ignoring that I know I need to change? And just see what comes up. It could be a relationship, it could be your business, and just really pay attention to, all right. The left side of your body generally is where we receive, and the right side is generally where we give. So sometimes that gives you a little bit more of a clue of what's going on as well. Like, I'm being blocked on the left side. I feel like I can't receive, or I'm afraid to put myself out there. I'm afraid to release my emotions on the right side, and see what's coming up for you. And of course, talk to your spirit guides. But channelers, if you're not moving your body, things do get stuck. Your energy gets stuck. So one way to clear it is to move energy through your body. And that can be walking. It can be dancing really quick before you're talking to your guides, or it can be breath work. If you're like, Whitney, I can't move my body, it's in pain, do some breath work. Something to move energy in and out gets you more clarity if you're a channeler.
Yeah, thank you. So if we're new to this practice of tapping the intuition and learning about our intuitive language and working with spirit guide, how can we build confidence with this? And I think you've given us a few examples, but I think it'd be helpful to hear again some like easy, accessible ways to build confidence with listening to our intuition.
Yeah, absolutely. So one easy way is to really do this every day. Like I said, making sure that you're consistent. And when you're consistent and you're clearing your mind, nothing else, no other thoughts can come in when your mind's clear. You can't even make it up because it's completely clear. And the more that you do this, the more regular and normal it feels in your life, and you start to have more confidence in what you're getting because you're making it part of your routine. You're starting to increase more of that confidence, just like any other skill. If you're an artist and you want to grow the skill, you're going to do it on a regular basis. Now, another fun way to increase your confidence is to validate yourself. So write those messages down, give yourself a voice memo and go back to it. And it might not be immediate, oh yeah, this happened, but it might be at the end of the week, and it could be in the next month or the next couple months. I just recently found a piece of paper that I had, and I had put this down years ago, and it was about a book. And so now I'm getting ready to write the book, and I remembered that, and it was very validating. So it can even be years from now, but do that. Another way to have confidence in your abilities, to grab a friend when you're first starting out and say, hey, is it okay if I give you some intuitive messages that I'm getting? And you can ask your spirit guides to give messages about the person that you're reading, and allow yourself to clear your mind, get the message, and just give what you're getting. It's sad but true. We don't trust ourselves as much as we trust when other people validate for us. So understanding the things you're getting, because it might feel like you're making it up. It might feel like, no, that's just my imagination. When you give somebody else a message and it feels like nonsense to you, and somebody says, that makes so much sense, I get that, I get exactly what you're saying, it gives you a bit more confidence with your own self. And what I love about learning this part of your intuitive language that you have is that you begin to trust yourself and love yourself, and you do grow your confidence each and every day that you're doing it. So validation is important, doing it really consistently, clearing your mind in that consistency, and then developing your intuitive language. And the more that you do exercises to develop it, the more you start to recognize it. Just by saying you're interested with your intuition, Spirit's going to start giving you signs like, hey, we're here. You want to talk to us? Let me make sure that we give you more signs. And the more signs that we get from Spirit also increase our confidence in what we're getting is real too. So, oh, I saw the number pattern a zillion times yesterday, or I'm seeing these flashes of light that come up. So all these tie together with your confidence. You have to make it part of your regular routine. You have to be consistent in it. And you also need that validation to understand that what you're getting is indeed really real. And the last piece I'll say for your confidence is find friends that you can talk to about this, or find a community or mentor. Because one of the biggest confidence busters and goes in the wrong direction is when we're talking to somebody that poo-poos it all away. It's like, no, this isn't really real. When you're in a supportive group and you have that support, you start to open up and question things and talk more about your experiences. And when you feel that safety and when you feel that you can truly be you, then you begin to grow that confidence because it becomes this normal conversation. And that's really an important component too.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So last topic I want to cover is mindset shifts. And I'm going to go back to my example of leaving corporate world, six-figure job, to becoming an entrepreneur as it relates to this idea. And this is my own samskara. This is my own internal dialogue, that abundance equals wealth. And that usually in my mind shows up as a monetary dollar amount, right? So when I'm talking about shifting my mindset and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm leaving the corporate work world, I'm going to try this entrepreneurial life. Okay, now I've been doing this entrepreneurial life for a few years and the income is not really growing the way that I guess I think it should. And I don't feel empowered or independent in that particular income. I guess I have the question of like, okay, well, does that mean I need to shift? Am I not on the right path? But more importantly, I think for this conversation is how do we shift the mindset to create that abundance that we are seeking?
Yeah. So I was just talking to a student of mine, and she says, Whitney, I'm in a job that's the most lucrative job I've ever had after working with you. And she said, we do think a lot that abundance is financial, but for her, it had to start spiritually. So one of the things I would say is abundance is internal. It's not outside of ourselves. We can have an abundance of junk mail, right? So it's more of, what does abundance mean to me? And also, what do I feel abundant with, and what values and priorities help me feel that abundance and energetically? So you can't really have the financial abundance, in my opinion, unless you're really feeling the internal abundance and the spiritual abundance. So what I would say is, okay, something's not talking together. So even though we can want big bags of money that just show up and we can feel that might make us feel abundant, a lot of times people say, well, when that happens, that they still feel empty if they haven't worked on themselves. So I would shift to, regardless of money, what in my life fuels me? What fills me up? What do I just absolutely love? And when you're thinking about this, do you have that in your life or not? What is important to you? How do you want that to feel? And when you really start working on your worthiness, and when you really start working on what's my priority and what's my definition of success, that's when a lot of light bulbs come up. Success sometimes means to some people a certain dollar figure, but success can be, I'm running my business, and joy, and I feel really excited about it and I love it. Or I have so much free time, and you know what? Money's great, but that's not necessarily the priority. So one shift is, instead of focusing on the goal or the abundance, when we do that, when we actually focus on the money, we can kind of put out this needy vibe, like desperation vibe, and then that's not going to attract what we want. So if you have a goal, and let's say you're a service-based business, instead of saying, I want X amount of dollars, what you can do is say, I am so excited and I feel so abundant when I help X amount of aligned clients. I am so excited to help X amount of these clients, and focus on the energy connection versus the monetary figure. And every time I've gone back to shift my connection with the people I want to help or the message that I want to get out, that's when the money comes, but that's not my focus. So spirit is really interested in you living an abundant life, but are you really feeling abundant, right? Like that's really the core piece of it. So that's one shift, is how can I reconnect to my message and talk about the people and how many people I'm so excited, versus the monetary aspect of it. So it just sounds like something's a little out of alignment if anyone listening is also having that, and it might be time for a pivot, a shift. But also, what does abundance really mean to you? And dive deeper into that topic.
Yeah, thank you, Whitney. So, final question. I want to be able to help people connect with you. You gave us so many great tips, tools, resources. I imagine that lives maybe online somewhere, or it's work that they can do with you if they connect with you directly. So, how can people find you and find out more?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the best resources that I can offer here today is my 4 intuitive languages quiz, to help you really dive deeper into your intuitive language. And you can find that at messengerofspirit.com/quiz. And then that'll lead you to my Spirit Guide Masterclass if you want to learn more about your spirit guides as well. So a lot of resources over at messengerofspirit.com. And you can also listen to my podcast, Spiritual and Ambitious. Lots of juicy nuggets there about spirit and intuition. And of course, I'd love to hear your ahas from this episode, and DM me on Instagram. And my handle is at Messenger of Spirit. So I'd love to hear from you, and would love to give you some tools to help you go deeper into your language and with your spirit guides.
Thank you, Whitney. I really appreciate your time. This has been so much fun for me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, everyone, that concludes another amazing episode of Outside the Studio. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you learned something new, maybe remembered something old, maybe felt inspired to apply something to your life. You can hear my dog in the background. She's doing a little happy dance. So Daisy enjoyed it. Anyhow, I wanted to just pop in here to wrap us up to say a couple of things. Number one, I have such an amazing team that helps me put these podcasts together. Without them, I wouldn't, be able to bring these amazing conversations to you. So thank you to my producer, my director of creative services, my sound editor, my engineer, Consistency Media. Don't know what I would do without you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the amazing creation and artistic musical genius, Drew Lovern. Thank you so much for putting together this music specifically for Outside the Studio. So unique to the show, only place you're ever going to hear it is right here. Thanks, you guys. You make my world go round. Stay well, everyone. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review, share on the socials, especially if it's a show that you think, hey, this could help somebody else. That's what this is all about, right? We're sharing information so that we're better, so that we're inspired, so that we're lifting each other up, and we're learning how to be in this world, living on this planet to the best of our ability, sharing information and inspiring one another. And that's my hope. That's my hope for the show. Take care.